Hello and welcome to High Vibe Astrology. This is Jennifer, back with a video on the Taurus full moon, drawn up for November 15th, 2024 at 4:28 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're new, thank you for finding this channel, for being here, and for supporting this community with your positive energy. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the like button and share these messages as you feel guided. These are all free and easy ways to support this channel. In this chart, we have Taurus rising, making Venus this chart's ruler and the ruler of this Taurus full moon. It is also still the ruler of the Libra South node, symbolizing conditions that have influenced our past. Venus also embodies relationships, money, and resources. In Capricorn, its energy is expressed through corporate and government agencies. Additionally, the placement in this chart, with it being in the 8th house, signifies that these energies are undergoing a major overhaul with this lunar cycle. Venus forms a T-square to the nodes, and this represents the crossroads we're experiencing right now, with clear-cut lines of sight between our past and where we are heading, represented by the North Node. As the South Node ruler, Venus will be felt as either a stumbling block or stepping stone to our true destiny. Venus also forms a quincunx to Mars, the ruler of the Aries North Node. And while Venus is feeling tension between both nodes and the North Node ruler Mars, Mars forms a trine to the North Node. To put it simply, this configuration tells me that the universe is supporting our pathway forward rather than returning to the past. North Node ruler Mars in Leo seeks, but also delivers, loyalty to 4th house themes, home, family, and all domestic issues. When it comes to the rulers, Mars and Venus, Mars representing our future forward and Venus representing our past, the perspective I've been shown aligns very much with shamanic healing. And at this full moon, this really feels appropriate because we've got Sedna, which embodies shamanic energy, conjunct this Taurus full moon. In all shamanic stories, it is the very thing that caused the original injury that ultimately becomes the healing totem for that person. In Sedna's myth, she was betrayed by her father, and before that, she was deceived and betrayed by her husband, disguised as a human, but really a fulmar or seabird, and in some versions, it's a raven as well. This is the creature who caused the storm that terrified her father to the point that he sacrificed her, threw her overboard, and caused her drowning in the Arctic Ocean. Now we have Sedna figuring prominently, and at this time, she has come back to be the way shower for our healing, revealing the antidote and remedy for a very ancient wound. Sedna's law is sacred law that the Inuit carry in their hearts, requiring very little in the way of regulations, decrees, mandates, and doctrine. People in her community are expected to follow these laws by listening to their heart, understanding how powerful their words and actions are, and they must hold themselves accountable for any lack of abundance. When they transgress against life, in Inuit tradition, they used to send a shaman down to Sedna to mediate for the people, but it was only when the people were willing to confess their transgressions that Sedna would agree to restore abundance to them. I talk a lot about the shifting of the ages and how we need the matriarchal energy to balance out a past that has, on the surface at least, expressed as extreme patriarchal control through Capricorn's social structures, systems, governments, etc. So a logical conclusion we might draw is that we need a female figure to lead us into a more matriarchal perspective. In this case, however, Venus rules over our past, the Libra South Node, and Mars rules the Aries North Node, our pathway forward. So I interpret this as a symbolic reference for what we need in the collective at this time, as the energy that can help us heal. In astrology, we would never generalize that Mars always represents a man and Venus represents a woman. But in this case, because of the shamanic healing, that it is exactly the energy that caused the injury in the first place that returns or that develops into the antidote, the remedy for that injury. So if it was a cowardly father and brutal husband who caused the original injury, it makes sense to me that healing would show up in the form of a powerful male figure who neither cowers nor gives up when relentless storms come his way. But even if we take gender out of the equation, the current VP simply does not have the leadership skills that the Aries North Node demands, while former 45 has clearly demonstrated his ability to boldly forge a new pathway forward and has created the largest and most successful movement in American history. I saw a meme recently that said fear can mean one of two things: fear everything and run, or face everything and rise. It seems to me that the former statement defines where we've been, while the latter defines where we're going. Now back to this chart. The Moon, Uranus, and Sedna sit in the first house, so their energy is rising and that much more prominent. We have Jupiter in the second house, expanding our ability to attract wealth and resources we require. In its opposition to Mercury, this signifies freedom of speech, as well as many discussions and conversations regarding eighth house issues. The square from Mercury to Saturn signifies a voice of authority and or restrictions to speech, especially if they expose any wrongdoing on the part of the old government system. Those who aren't in favor of these crimes being exposed, or who simply can't believe that any such crimes could ever happen, will find it difficult to hear, let alone accept this information. Personally, I love the fact that Mercury rules the second house and sits in the house of inheritance, while Jupiter sits in the second house and is expanding these opportunities for attracting wealth. Mercury also trines Chiron, the manner in which we heal, suggesting that communication and free speech are necessary for us to heal collectively. Maybe this will literally have to do with confessions being heard as well, like I alluded to in the Sedna myth. We do have to hear confessions by those who have committed crimes against the people. Mars in Leo in the fourth symbolizes a courageous love related to domestic issues, home, and family. South Node in the sixth suggests we're having to look at a previous soul cycle in which we allowed ourselves to compromise our health and well-being by giving our decision-making power away to some external source or institution. The Scorpio Sun in the seventh is receiving energy from this Taurus full moon, as well as Uranus and Sedna. So whatever seismic shifts occur from the combination of Uranus and Sedna will be illuminated during this lunar cycle. We have leveled up to a higher timeline and therefore a higher outcome for everyone. This is a rebirth. This is the symbol, Sun in Scorpio, of rebirth and regeneration. In its highest vibe, Uranus is the humanitarian who wants what's best for all sentient beings. And Sedna reveals where we ourselves have been abandoned. Her highest vibe is personified by the eagle, a symbol of connecting with spirit, tapping into our immortality, and soaring at heights that transcend all human limitations. Pluto on the midheaven signifies that the transformation of these government agencies and social structures is very visible right now. So no more secrets and backroom deals. This is what's being exposed and replaced by transparency. We are witnessing a very public overhaul of a gluttonous government and power structure that stopped representing the people a very long time ago. Now, I already did a video on the Mars-Pluto opposition, but there's something I'd like to add here that is very relevant insofar as the United States. The Mars-Pluto opposition is going to be in effect until the spring of 2025 because Mars turns retrograde on December 6th at exactly the same degree as the United States North Node. It will turn retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo. So this means that it will begin the United States destiny. And in the 8th house, it's going to be transforming our destiny as it activates and initiates investigations having to do with criminal alliances and activity that have occurred in secret, never anticipating their exposure to the light. But North Node in Leo is going to shine a light on these things, and transiting Mars in Leo is going to activate this process. It will also be activating our Mercury at 24 degrees of Cancer. This represents the media and communications, commerce, but in Cancer, it will impact our domestic affairs. Then transiting Mars will station direct on February 23rd of 2025 at 17 degrees of Cancer and will begin to make its second pass over Mercury and then finally the Leo North Node. But all of this has to do with 8th house issues. So spirituality, taboo subjects, subjects that make certain people feel uncomfortable, but things about our shadow government that must be exposed, that must be brought out into the light and consciousness so that they can be healed. And with Mars there transiting, this could actually be military and military tribunals going after the enemies who have committed these crimes against our nation and the people who have been paying tax dollars and trying to make an honest living. Now let's look at Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces in the 11th house. And this feels to me like reformation of spiritual beliefs, religion, the pharmaceutical industry, Hollywood. All of these pertain to Pisces. It could also represent the disillusionment of those who envisioned a different future than what is currently playing out. Ultimately, as Neptune finishes up its journey through Pisces, what this is really about is us coming to terms with the fact that we can no longer help the world or anyone in it by martyrizing ourselves, nor playing the victim. We all have to realize the power we have within to lead by example and spiritual integrity rather than just doing what we're told and going along with the crowd or the narrative. The outermost planets are all in harmony. There is still a conjunction between Uranus and Sedna, but a sextile between that conjunction and Neptune and Pluto. And the feeling I get is like these outer planets are holding their hands in solidarity with humanity and holding space for our successful transition into the new age of peace and prosperity. It's a process that does require each of us to, rather than fear everything and run, to face everything and rise. So that is what I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please stay tuned for the frequencies, and I look forward to being with you next time. Bye for now.